welcome back. Today I'm here with a 5-star prediction video with a little bit of a twist. I recently got back from Book Expo and BookCon where I hauled 63 books or so. just a few. So I thought it would be fun to go through all of the books that I hauled during that event and pull out some of the ones that I think I'm gonna give 5 stars to. So this is a 5-star prediction video for books that I hauled at Book Expo and BookCon. There are 12 of them that made the list. I will say one of them I didn't actually show in my haul video because I had 2 copies of this ARC. One of them was sent to me earlier from the publisher, and then the second one I sent on to a friend, but I still did technically get it here, so I'm including it in the list. And that'll be the first one that I share. Of these, let's see, we have, maybe I should divide this up into like adult and YA. Let's do that. Hold on. So I did not plan it this way, but I actually have 6 YA books and 6 adult books. So that worked out really nicely. So I will start with the YA and then show you the adult. I have 6 of each that I predict I'm going to give 5 stars to. That's so funny that it worked out. I swear I didn't plan that. Okay. The first book is the one that I was mentioning earlier. This is Red Skies Falling by Alix London. This is the sequel to Black Wings Beating, which was one of my favorite books of last year. I loved Black Wings Beating so much, and I wish more people would pick it up and talk about it because I just think it's so good and a lot of people haven't been reading it. This is the sequel in his YA fantasy series that centers on a sibling relationship between a brother and a sister who come from an abusive background. The brother is gay at his own voices for the gay representation, but it's just so smart and inventive and interesting with really good world building. The thing that's interesting about this is that everything in the world kind of centers on people's relationships with birds of prey, like falcons and hawks and things like that. And so the divides politically and religiously are all based around that. So it's a really interesting world, really interesting story. I loved Black Wings Beating, and so I am anticipating that I will give Red Skies Falling 5 stars as well, because I think I gave 6 stars. It was like a favorite of the year for me last year, so in my rating scale now that would be 6 stars. So I anticipate this is at least going to be a 5-star read for me. The next book that I will probably give 5 stars to is American Royals by Katharine McGee. This one's coming out in September. Oh, and I didn't tell you, this one is coming out in September as well. This is coming out in September through Random House, and I'm really excited for this. I think it's going to be super fun. It's kind of like alternate history where instead of staying president, George Washington accepted to become king of America, and so now, hundreds of years later, we have American royalty. And so I think this is going to be kind of a fun, juicy, summery kind of read. I'm really excited for it. I generally enjoy the kind of drama of Katharine McGee's writing, so I suspect that this will probably be a 5-star read for me. We'll see. The next book on this list is among my most anticipated books for the rest of the year. I'm so excited for this. I actually suspect this might be like a 6-star read for me, but definitely 5 stars. I hope it's as good as I think it's going to be. This is The 10th Girl by Sara Faring. And this one is coming out in September. And actually, by the time this video goes up, I could probably tell you whether I was right or not, because I'm going to be buddy reading this pretty soon with a few friends, and I cannot wait. This is a debut novel. It's a YA Gothic thriller set at a girls' boarding school in 1970s Argentina. It is own voices for the Latinx representation. The author's family came from Argentina, and some of the things in here are based on their stories of life in the 1970s in that country under a dictatorial government, but I think it's going to be creepy and interesting, and I'm just really excited about it. It's a psychological thriller. I have very, very high hopes for this one. The next book that I'm predicting I will give 5 stars to is There Will Come a Darkness by Katie Rose Poole. This is another YA debut coming out in September. It is fantasy. It sounds like it's going to be super interesting. It says, for generations, the 7 prophets guided humanity. Using their visions of the future, they ended wars and united nations until the day, 100 years ago, when the prophets disappeared, leaving behind a final secret prophecy foretelling an age of darkness and the birth of a new prophet who could be the world's salvation or the cause of its destruction. I'm so interested in this. I'm very, very excited. I suspect this is going to be a really big deal, and I'm hoping that it's as good as I think it's going to be. My next prediction is another sequel to a underhyped favorite book of mine from last year. This is Wild Savage Stars, the sequel to Sweet Black Waves by Kristina Perez. This is another book that made my favorites of the year last year. I loved it a whole lot. I wish more people would read it. Sweet Black Waves is a super atmospheric feminist retelling of Tristan and Isolde, told through the perspective of Branwen, Isolde's lady's maid. And Wild Savage Stars continues Branwen's story. So the original story is really retold in book 1. In book 2, we're going to new places, new things are happening, but I really loved it in general. I've been loving this author and the things that she's writing, and so I'm very excited about this. It comes out in August. I have high hopes, and I suspect it will be another 5-star read for me. The final YA book that I am anticipating giving 5 stars to is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. This one is coming out through Harper Teen in September. I've been so excited for this ever since I heard about it. The cover is really gorgeous, but it says it's a steamy YA series launch perfect for fans of Sarah J. Maas, which is pretty cool. It's set in 17th century France with high stakes action, epic magic, and a deep cast of characters to fall in love with, and the author is a woman of color. So all of that sounds amazing. It sounds like it's going to be kind of dark and magical and steamy, and yeah, I'm very, very here for it. So I predict that this one is going to be 5 stars. Moving on, I have adult books that I also think that I will be giving 5 stars to this fall. The first one is actually a nonfiction release coming out through Source Books. This is called Motherhood So White, a memoir of race, gender, and parenting in America by Nefertiti, Austen. I am really interested in this, partly because I have biracial children, and so the stuff that's covered in here is pretty relevant to me. This is a memoir from an author, a black woman who decided to adopt a black baby and faced a lot of issues as a result, and started looking into some of these ideas that people have about parenthood and race. And so yeah, very, very intrigued by this. I suspect it's going to be a 5-star read for me. This is the only nonfiction book that I have on this list. Next, I have 2 books coming out from Orbit this fall that I'm excited for. This one is called Queen of the Conquered by Kheryn Calendar, now writing under Kacin Calendar. And this one is not coming out until November, but I'm really excited about it. This is a Caribbean-inspired fantasy that deals with colonialism and conquest, power and privilege, and it says it's perfect for fans of S.A. Chakraborty, who I love, Ken Liu, and Tasha Sori. The author is black and queer, and the cover looks amazing. They will know her vengeance. I'm really excited for this. I suspect it's going to be 5 stars. And the other book from Orbit that I'm really excited for is The 10,000 Doors of January by Alix E. Harrow. This one is coming out in September. It's beautiful, really, really beautiful. And I've been hearing early reviews of this that are rave reviews. I suspect I'm really gonna love it. It is set in a sprawling mansion with peculiar treasures about a girl named January who's the ward of a wealthy man. And then I think she finds a strange book, and it's a bit of a portal fantasy. I'm really excited for this one, so I suspect that one will be 5 stars. Next, I have a couple of books that really dive into these like social justice race issues that you know I'm a fan of reading about. The first one, I couldn't believe that I got a copy of this, guys. I have been so hyped for it ever since this book was announced. This is The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. He's the author of The Underground Railroad, and this one is coming out in July, so I'm going to be reading this hopefully this month, and it's not a very long book. Oh, this is really short. It's like barely over 200 pages. Okay, so I will be reading this one really soon. I'm very excited. The Underground Railroad is one of my all-time favorite books. It's brilliant and fascinating, and this one is a little bit of a follow-up to it. It says it dramatizes another strand of American history through the story of 2 boys sentenced to a hellish reform school in Jim Crow-era Florida. I'm really excited for it. I love his writing, and I think this one is going to be very good, so I will be reading that one pretty soon. Then there's a book coming out in September that I'm also really excited for. This is The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates. If you guys don't know, I love his nonfiction work. I think he is one of the best thinkers on race relations in America right now, and last year one of my favorite books of the year was a nonfiction book by him, We Rate Years in Power. This is his first adult novel, and I'm really interested in it. I think it's going to be hard-hitting, but probably really good. It says that it brings home the most intimate evil of enslavement, the cleaving and separation of families. So this is a multi-generational story that takes place during slavery. It's about the separation of families. This is probably going to make me cry and make me really, really angry, but I anticipate it being great. So I suspect this will probably be a favorite book for me, definitely a 5-star prediction. And the final book on this list is one that I'm super hyped for, mostly thanks to Melanie from Mel to the Any. This is her favorite book she's read this year, and it is a a debut novel. This is Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir. It is coming out in September from Tor. It is an adult title about lesbian necromancers in space. I think it's going to be super fun. It's got a solar system of swordplay and cutthroat politics and skeletons, and yeah, I'm really excited. I got to meet the author. She's super kind. A debut from New Zealand, I believe, and yeah, I'm very excited for this. I suspect it will also be 5 stars. So there you have it. Those are all 12 of the books that I picked up at Book Expo and BookCon that I think are going to be 5-star reads for me. We'll see how this goes. Maybe what I'll do is once I read all of these, I'll do a revisit of this video and we'll talk about whether or not I was right. But I'm very, very excited for all of these. So talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know any of your thoughts or feelings on anything that I said. And for your question of the day, let me know which of these books you would be most excited to read. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more, and hit that bell icon anywhere on the screen to be notified every time I release a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time.